Hello. Okay, so this is just an idea I've had for a while that I've wanted to do. I've wanted to try out different cookbooks and just like make a few of the recipes in the cookbook, try it out, and make a video. So the one I'm starting with is the Alicia Silverstone Kind Diet. So if you've never heard of Alicia Silverstone, what are you doing? She's in Clueless. She's amazing. She's just an amazing actress in general. She's an environmentalist. She's a animal rights activist. And so she made this cookbook, which is also like a lifestyle book. So basically she talks about like why she became vegan and just like what's going on in the world and how like factory farms are terrible for the environment and things like that. Just as a disclaimer, I'm not vegan. I have been, I've like been vegan before, and I don't know. It's really, really hard. And she even talks about it in this book, like with her diet, she follows a vegan macrobiotic diet. So she kind of takes you through a phase of like just being vegan and then, taking out the sugar and the processed foods. But yeah, in like college, I would be like, experimental vegan. That's when I started really like experimenting with like, using tofu for like a sweet dessert, or how to make cheese out of like carrots and potatoes and things like that. So I do think that cooking wise, that's why like making vegan recipes and stuff like that can be fun, because you just start to see like how you can use foods in different ways, which is definitely what we have going on here. So what I made from this book are, I really, really love hand rolls, like sushi hand rolls. So I made these nori wraps. And then so this is part of like the second phase. It's called superhero. This is what she calls it in her book. It's called the superhero diet, and that is no sugar and no white, like processed starches. So like no white flour, anything like that. These are the braised daikons, which they're also part of the same diet, and I don't know, I've probably had daikon before in like at a restaurant, like maybe within some other meal, but I've never had it plain. And also I think I picked this out because it literally looks like a scallop, which like made me really hungry. I don't know if this is working, but. And then this is just part of the vegan phase. So this is like her version of a cheesecake, and it's made with tofu and vegan cream cheese mainly. And then I made her peach and mint iced tea, which is made by using a green tea and then adding peach and mint to it. Okay, it's so hot. It's like, I don't have air conditioning, and it's like 90 degrees outside, and I have the windows closed because like, of course, people are like doing everything possible in their yards right now. But okay, so I have to make a little disclaimer. I've actually filmed this video before already, but I had some mishaps. Maybe I'll like put the footage in here so you can see, but this would totally happen to me too. Like, so I'm like the kind of person where I like wear makeup, but it's like the least amount of makeup possible. So it's like just to get by, basically, like eyebrows, maybe something on my eye, mascara. And then if I'm feeling like super fancy, like if I'm going to like an art show or something, I'll put on lipstick. And then the whole time I'm wearing lipstick, I'm just like full on panic mode. Like, is it like on my skin? Is it on my teeth? Like, I'm just like, I feel like I'm like walking around the party just like constantly like licking my teeth whenever I'm wearing lipstick. And then I feel like so good once like most of it has like faded away and I can just like wipe it off and just continue the rest of my night. For some reason, I guess I was just trying to be like extra cool or something. I tried to do the first one with lipstick and I ended up getting it like all over my chin, like throughout the whole thing while I was eating. So that was like an absolute fail. And then the other thing was this cheesecake that I made. So the recipe says that you cook it and then you let it cool and then you eat it. You top it with the berries and then you eat it. And so I did that and it was like mush. It didn't even come out as a slice. And then the next day after I had put it in the fridge, because I had made like a whole cheesecake, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna see like what the state of it is right now. And it was like completely hardened and it was like a completely different consistency and it was like delicious and way better. Well, it wasn't delicious. We'll get into that. First of all, this tea, since I made it like a few days ago and it sat in the fridge, is so good. Like the first time it was like fine, but now that the peach has like sat in it, it's like so good. And she says in the book that you can add, her sweetener of choice is maple syrup. So she's like, oh, you can like add some maple syrup to it if it's not sweet enough. But okay, the story behind these hand rolls is hilarious, but let's pick a good one to show. So I did 2 with nori and I did 1 with soy paper. So they look like this. And in the recipe, she doesn't say to have lemon or soy sauce, but I just feel like it would taste really, really good. So, okay, so I'm editing right now. And I am like startled at my lazy eye. I always knew I had a lazy eye, but I had no idea that it drooped so far down and then my other eye like moves around like a little shark or something. The eye patch, I have to get the eye patch out, man. There's one ingredient in these hand rolls that I was like, I'm not buying that because it was so expensive. A lot of the ingredients in her stuff are like, it's kind of like vegan with like Japanese inspired. So one of the things was umbashi plums and they were $17.99. It was like a pack of 12. And I didn't really know what I would do with like the rest and if it would just like go to waste, and it's so much money. So what I did, I got real sneaky and I saw that there is like this stuff called umbashi vinegar. And so I just got regular plums and then I had them like marinate in the vinegar. She actually talks about in the book, so the real plums, the ones that were $17.99, they like actually have medicinal qualities. Like if you eat one when you're hungover, it's supposed to like completely like cure your hangover. But she makes a note in the book that the like vinegar won't. It's like only the plum. So I was like, well, I don't have a hangover, but the ones I made are not medicinal, but technically if you did use the real things, like you could use these nori wraps as like a like hangover breakfast or something. The vinegar soaked plum is like salty and sour, which is a really good combination with the avocado and the apple. So the story behind these hand rolls in the book was her and her friend were on their way to a reggae festival. Like all the stories are so Alicia. Like I love how sincere this cookbook is. It's just like everything she says, I can totally hear like Cher saying too. Which, it's like, you're not supposed to, like, make the character into the actor. Like, it's not like she is that person, but she just, she just is, though. So the story is her and her friend were on their way to a reggae festival, and they just had these ingredients on hand, and they were starving, and they just started making hand wraps and eating them in the car on the way. So another story that she talks about in the book, because I feel like so many cookbooks like celebrity name drop. You wouldn't think so because a lot of them are done by chefs. It's like, well, that's kind of a weird thing, and this one's done by an actual celebrity, so it kind of makes sense. But a lot of cookbooks that you'll look at, they'll have like either pictures of celebrities like in their restaurant, or they'll talk about how they were catering some dinner for a celebrity. It's actually pretty common. One celebrity that she talks about, like, who really, like, helped her become vegan is Woody Harrelson. Which I just love that image of, like, her and Woody hanging out. Two icons. So she talks about how she was a vegan, and she's like, I'm just getting so frustrated because I keep learning about food and how terrible it is for the environment. And he's like, hey, me and my family are going to Peru. Like, you should come with us, you and your boyfriend. And so she meets Woody Harrelson for the first time at the Lima airport. And she says, this is the best quote in here. 3 days later, he and Christopher, that's her boyfriend, were racing canoes down the Amazon, stark naked and paddling furiously with me and Laura behind them. Laura is Woody Harrelson's wife, laughing. And then she says, vegan friends are the best. Can't you just hear Cher saying that? Just wanted to also let you guys know that if you get this cookbook, you'll get some baby pics of Alicia in here. So there's that. Now this book is old. I actually bought this book in 2009, I think is when it came out. And I bought it at Borders. I still have the tag on the back. But there's a fact in here, 20 billion heads of livestock walking the earth. That is pretty crazy. She says that's more than triple the number of humans. And that's like, I don't know, when you think about, like, if you actually, like, hunt an animal, like, how much of the meat you could use and how long that would last you, it just seems like that's so much. And it's most likely because of, like, how much meat is wasted. So this is braised daikon. So what you do is you basically, I've cooked this a few times because I messed up, you know what I'm saying? So what you do, I know the recipe by heart now. And I don't like it, but I will taste it again on camera, but I know that I don't like it. You cut these up and then you put them in a pot with water and then some other of the other seasonings. One of the seasonings is called kombu, and I'm pretty sure that's the part that I just don't like. I do like nori. I love the taste of nori and seaweed. Kombu is like another sea vegetable, I believe, and it's just like really strong tasting. And then the daikon, I think, is part of like the turnip family, or like, you know, like a root vegetable. It reminds me of rutabaga, which I don't know if that's just like a Midwest has like so many sayings where I meet other people, because I live in California now, and I meet other people and they're just like, what are you talking about? No one says that. And it's like, we have all these cutesy words. So I never know if something's a cutesy word, but a rutabaga is like a root vegetable that is made during like fall and Thanksgiving times, and it's kind of what the daikon reminds me of. But the taste is rough. Like, the aftertaste is like, it's so bitter. Like, you know how like a survival skill when you're walking through the forest is like, if you taste something and it's bitter, that means that it's probably poison, you're not supposed to eat it. So if I was trying to survive and I found this, I would think it was poison, because these peaches, I actually used, you're supposed to put, it's a green tea with mint and peach, and I used matcha, like a matcha green tea bag that I have, because I'm really into that. Ooh, I freaking love that. That tea is so good. It's so much better than the first time I made it. Okay. The last thing. Yes. So, a few problems with this. Okay, I don't know. So the crust is like crumbling off. Can you guys see that? It's also burnt. So in the cookbook, this is kind of one of those things where whenever you look at a recipe online, there'll be comments that are like, I did this, but instead of using this, I used, and it's like completely different. But this is one of those things where like the comment might save you, because in the recipe it says to you like make the crust with the graham crackers and the butter. You put it into the pan and then you pre-bake it for 5 minutes, and then you put the stuff in and then you bake it again. And honestly, I think the pre-bake, like, you know, made the crust burn a little bit, because it probably would have been fine if I didn't have to pre-bake it. So I'm a little disappointed in that, but I will try it. So this is the only sweetening that this has is the maple syrup. That's like the only form of something sweet that it has in it. And the berries. The berries make it, they definitely make it taste better. It's just really plain tasting. I'm not one of those people that like is really sensitive when I've used tofu in desserts all the time. I love to use it as like a mousse, like soft tofu with avocado, like mousse it up with some sweetener and other things, maybe chocolate. So I'm not like, you know, I know that if I were to take this to like a party, like of just like your average people, you know, because like, yeah, I could take it to like a foodie, like vegan party and people be like, ooh, this is good. But it's not. Like, if like someone who is used to just eating regular cheesecake tried this, they would probably spit it out. So it's definitely one of those things where it's good if you haven't eaten sugar in like 2 months or something, you know what I mean? So I think there could have been a little bit, maybe more maple syrup added, or maybe more of another kind of sweetener or something. I'm not sure. It's just like really lacking. Because I think that's a crucial part of it. Like, I watch Lauren Toyota, Hot for Food. She's a vegan cook. And it's like, she makes really good vegan food. Like, the kind that it's like, you could share it with anyone and then they would be like down to eat it. And I think that's like why like vegans and vegan food has like the stigma on it, is because people are used to eating stuff like this. And that's why they think that everything will taste bad. So that's why it kind of bums me out, because if you make a cheesecake, you're not going to be a psycho like me and just keep it in your fridge to yourself. Like, you're going to take it somewhere and share it with people. And no, I wouldn't share this with anyone. Like, I did have someone take a bite of it. Like, I was like, oh, try this cheesecake I made. Yeah, they only took one bite and they were like, no, this is really bad. So, and they're like a non-vegan regular person. The tea is a 5 out of 5. The nori wraps, 5 out of 5. The daikon, it might be a personal preference, 2 out of 5. Cheesecake, 2 out of 5. Overall, I think I give the cookbook, from what I tried, 2.5 out of 5. Are there other recipes I would try? Maybe. I have made some recipes from this cookbook before that were actually really good and that I did take to a party and everyone loved. These chocolate peanut butter cups are really good, but I didn't want to like make them over again. I wanted to try something new. And then I also, this actually reminds me of Hot for Food, this recipe, but her cheesy oozy guacamole bean dip is really good, and I've made that before. So, I mean, I think she has like a lot of good like little stories, and she actually talks about like her whole upbringing in the book and like how she actually became a vegan and like what she went through with her family and like the macrobiotic diet. She like went to like a specialist. She went to a specialist because she had cystic acne, and she was even like in a movie and they had to like re-record a part because her acne was so bad. And she found this specialist and they were like, oh, I'm sure like we can cure your acne through like the eating. And that's how she realized that she was eating too much sugar and processed food, which I think is pretty common when you first become vegan. It's like so hard, so you end up eating like a lot of bread, and there's like, everyone's like, oh yeah, you can become vegan and just eat Oreos, but I mean that when it's like when you don't have a lot of time or you don't have a lot of money, you know, but you want to become vegan, you probably do just eat like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and Oreos and stuff. Okay, the last thing, just wanted to share. Oh, there's two things. Okay, this thing I really want to make, but I don't have a waffle press. So, one day. But it sounds so good. Mochi waffles. Mochi waffles are fun and easy for everyday eating, but they're also great to offer guests. It's okay. It's just cookbook talk, okay? You have to have that uplifting, bright, cheery attitude. Okay, the last thing I want to share with you guys from this cookbook, this takeaway, the cookbook I'm giving 2.5 out of 5 is her author's bio, which I think is amazing. And if anyone's ever had to create a bio for themselves, it's like the most painful thing to do ever, because you're like trying to figure out what your strong suits are, but you're not trying to sound like a freak that's like thinks that they're like the greatest person ever. So here's her bio. Alicia Silverstone, Alicia or Alicia, people say it different ways, is an actress who has appeared in numerous film, television, and theater roles, a dynamic fixture in Hollywood and beyond. She is a dedicated advocate on behalf of the planet and its animals and was voted sexiest vegetarian alive in 2004. She lives in Los Angeles with her husband, Christopher, and their 4 rescue dogs. I love how, like, whenever you do a bio, you're like, okay, did I ever get an award? Do I have an award to share? And hers is sexiest vegetarian alive, which is so awesome. I love you, but your cookbook is only a 2.5 out of 5. All right, see you next time.